Hello, this is our presentation for the CS336 auction website project, presented by Rahul and created by Rahul, Surya, Jyolsna, and Amy. We will demonstrate the creation of user accounts, log in and log out using the registration form. As you can see, you can fill out this form to register an account for the auction website. Let's just create a customer account. Okay, once you've created a user account, you can log in with the account you just created. And the website will recognize what user has been logged in, welcome them, and we have the options to view the notifications page, the forum page where you can ask and answer questions, or rather get answers from the customer representatives. You can create listings for items that you want to auction off. You can also log out, and you have the option to delete your account if you so choose. In the middle of the welcome page, we can see the option to browse through the various items that have been auctioned off in the past and that are currently in progress for auctioning, as well as things that have been sold and auctions that have been ended without the items being sold. We also have options to search through using various parameters, which will be demonstrated momentarily. We also have the ability to log out as previously demonstrated. So let's log back in using that account. So for section 1, we will be demonstrating the auctions functionality. This includes the ability for the seller to create auctions and post items for sale, which can be demonstrated using the create listing page. So let's set an initial price of $10. We'll say a minimum selling price of $15. And we can select our end date using this selection bar. We'll say the sale ends at 4:40 p.m. today, and we can choose some very nice green shoes. We can copy the image address in order for the database to use as the link. Here we go. We can give it a nice description. And we can fill out some information about the size group as well as the size of the shoes. We'll say size 10. Once you scroll down, you'll notice that the listing has been created at the very bottom row. Some emerald green shoes, and the person who is selling, as well as the starting price, as well as the current max bid and when the thing will end, or when the auction will end. So let's sign in with another account. I already had this prepared, so let's just use user@user.com and password. So we've signed in as user A, and we can go to this listing, we can select the item, and here we see information about the item. Over here, we can see that the bid history is empty because no one has actually bid on this yet, and we can place a bid for, let's say, $12. We can also choose to have an auto bid option. In this case, I'll show you the auto bid functionality separately. So we can see that the bid that we just placed is showing up here. So if we log out, we can try to start a bidding war between two users. So let's try user B at user.com. So you can see we're signed in as user B. Let us use the auto bid functionality. We'll place a bid for 14. Bid increment of 1, and we'll end at $20. And if we go to user, you'll notice that first of all, we have a notification that we've been outbid on the item that was created, and the other person who bid was bid $14. We can also begin our bidding war. So in this case, let's try $15. We'll place a bid increment of 1 and end at 25. You'll notice at this point, when we go back to the item page, the automatic bidding process has begun, and we alternate between user and user B, and the amount keeps increasing. User should win the bid war because his max was 25, whereas user B had a max of 20. and you can see the bid dates for each bidding process. So by 1640, which is in other words 4:40 p.m., the sale will have gone through, the auction will have ended, and the winner, in this case it should be user@user.com, in other words user A, should have gotten a notification saying, "Congratulations, you have won item 39 for the price of $21. Okay, so that demonstrates our auctions functionality. We can see that the seller can create auctions by posting items for sale. We can set all the characteristics of the item, set the closing date and time, as well as set a hidden minimum price. We noticed that the minimum price earlier was 15, and we exceeded that minimum price, which is why the sale went through. A buyer is able to set a bid price, as well as set auto bidding in order to automatically bid against other competitors. And we are able to define the winner of this of the auction and notify them specifically through the notifications page. Now we will look through the browsing and advanced search functionality. We can use this to browse, including searching and sorting. We can see the item types. For example, let's say we filter by only the bottoms, and we only get the bottoms. We can filter, let's say for example we have Peter, Steve, and user. Let's say we wanted to filter by only the bottoms, but also sort by the seller and have it descending. That would change the order of the items to be user and then Steve and then Peter. And you can go through these on your own and test out the various different statuses. We can check out the end date in a week, for example. There's nothing that's ending in a week. Let's say things that are bid in $10 and under. For example, the fuzzy slippers sold by Steve Rogers. You can see that here. And you can just try out the various search options over here. So we've already mentioned letting people being able to browse the various items, as well as seeing the current status of the bidding in the various table columns over here. We can sort by various search criteria within this column, and users can view the history for bids for any specific auction by clicking into the bid history. In this case, no one has bid on this item, but for items like this, there have been bids. We can also view similar items. So in this case, since this is a top, you can see the various other tops that have been sold, that have been auctioned using the view similar items. So we can go back to view all items, or we can just view similar items to see just the tops. We can let users also set alerts for specific items that they are interested in. For example, let's say we choose the I Love NY t-shirt. We can, or rather we've already set notifications for this. So let's try setting notifications for an item that we haven't set yet. In this case, if we set an alert for similar items, we will be alerted whenever similar items come onto the auction site. In this case, let's say we were to have another user create a listing for a shoe, which is a similar item to the shoe that we sold, the green shoe. The parameters don't really matter, but we can just put these in. Let's say we have like another pair of green shoes, maybe these heels. We can set the color to green, and we can call them heels. We'll say this is a large, and we'll say the size is 7. So now you'll notice that the heels have been made, and the previous user, who was logged in as user@user.com, should have gotten a notification that a new item in the shoes category with item ID has been put up for auction because they enabled notifications for similar items to the shoe. So that demonstrates the alert system and the setting of the alert system, and users being able to browse through the various items using those selections. We are also able to let users ask and browse the answered questions in the forums. You can see the questions on the left by the people by the people who have asked those questions, the time when they asked those questions, as well as the customer support representatives answering those questions. You can ask a question by clicking on Ask Question. We can type your question here. So, for example, who has the highest bid right now? If we submit those questions, customer representatives can look at them and answer them. And we can also search through the question list by using this search bar over here. So for example, if I type in who, it searches to specifically the question that we just asked. Or rather, it searches to another question that uses the keyword who. We didn't necessarily ask it, but it has search functionality for those questions. If we were to then go ahead and log in with a customer representative account, we could then view messages that are unanswered to answer the question that we asked with user A's account. So for example, who has the highest bid right now? Someone on the site. Very unhelpful answer, I know. Like most customer representatives out there. Anyway, now let's discuss the admin and customer representative functionalities. So we've got the staff login directly below the user login, and we can sign in with an admin account. First of all, we can register new customer representatives by filling out this form. Customer rep at customerreps.com. We'll call him Crap John. Why not? And we'll give it a password. Submit. And we can log in with that customer rep account to prove that it has been created. And you'll notice that the customer of that email was able to log in and view the various forms and messages. So admins are able to create customer representative accounts. Let's demonstrate the other administrative functionalities. So we've already demonstrated customer representative registration. We can also show sales reports. We can create sales reports for various different categories. We can create sales reports for total earnings, for earnings per item type, earnings per user, best-selling items, and best buyers. And we can generate reports for any one of these. So you can just select whichever criteria, you can select a date, a start date, and an end date. Or if they're left unfilled, we can just click Generate Report, and it'll generate reports for items and earnings for all dates. So as you can see, you can look at the earnings for each item ID as well as the price they were sold at, and you've got the total earnings summed up at the bottom. Similarly, you can generate reports for the various other things over here. For example, earnings per item ID. You can find earnings per item type. You can see the various item types. You can see earnings per user for the various users, as well as how much they earned and sold things for. We can see the best-selling items, in this case, by item ID. Whoops. Let's go back to our administrator account. And let's see. We talked about earnings per user. We talked about the best-selling items, and we can look up the best buyers. In this case, the buyers who bought the most items. Here we can see user A bought 6 items and spent $119. So that concludes the demonstration of the administrative functionalities. We can also look at the customer representative functionalities. Customer representatives can edit user accounts. So for example, if we wanted to edit the user with rhegde as the email, which is my email, we can change any or all of these fields. So in this case, I'll just update just the display name because I don't feel like updating the other two. We can just call this, we'll just call it Rahul A. Hegde. Before it was just Rahul Hegde, now it'll say Rahul A. Hegde. So if we submit that and log in with my account, we'll notice that my username has changed. Beyond editing user accounts, we can also remove auctions and bids. So for example, if we choose item ID 36, we can leave this blank to see all the users who have bid on that item, or we can put an email in here to select only the bids from that user for that item. So in this case, user B and user have bid on that item. If we just select this and we put that in our message, we can filter for viewing just the bids by user B, as you can see here. From here, we can also choose to delete selective bids. For example, if I were to delete the bid by user B, and we return to the item page and refresh, we'll notice that the user B item has disappeared because we have deleted their bid, and we also have the option to delete this auction just like that. And when we look up that auction for item 36, it doesn't exist, therefore nothing happens. Customer representatives also have the ability to reply to user questions, as mentioned here. So unanswered questions, in this case, there are none because we've answered all of them. We can look at the answered questions and look at where we went to. We already demonstrated users asking questions, but we can show that again just in case. So in this case, if we go to the forum, ask a question, and say, this is a question. And if we log in with the customer representative account, whoops. We can view the unanswered questions and answer this. Yes, it is. And as you saw before, as soon as excuse me, as soon as you answer a question, it disappears from the question list. So if you then ask for unanswered questions, there are none. However, if you look at the answered questions, you'll see now this is a question has been answered. This, yes, it is, by customer rep at customerrep.com. Yep. So we've demonstrated the customer rep ability to remove bids, remove auctions, edit and modify account information, and replying to questions, as well as view the various questions that users have asked. Finally, on the checklist, there was a mention of account deletion, we decided to allocate that only to the users because we felt that it made the most sense and provided the best user experience in order to allow users to delete their own accounts rather than having customer representatives or administrators manage that for them. So we can just create a new user to demonstrate the user account deletion. For example, user to delete at deletion.com. We can say del user. We can create that account. We can log in. We can see del user, and as soon as we click this, we can delete the account. The deletion was successful. And then we can use, if we try to sign in again with user to delete, we'll see that the account does not exist. So that concludes our demonstration of all of the functionalities for our auction website. We have finished demonstrating everything for the customer representatives, the admin functionality, as well as the users using the browse and search for the various auction items, as well as being able to bid, auto bid, create items, and sell. That concludes our presentation. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.